Much needed good news for the Texans today. Landry Locker, Cody Stute, straight from the practice field to your computer. Later which means later program. Normally you catch us 4 o'clock Monday through Friday right here, except Reaction Mondays are at 9 a.m. So Christian Kirk back on the practice field. Braxton Berrios back on the practice field. Jake Andrews back on the practice field. A couple of notable listings on the injury report. Kamari Lassiter has a knee. He was limited. Jalen Smith did not practice. Jalen Petrie has the injured rib. And then you have Darrell Taylor limited, along with previously mentioned Andrews. But the big news is the two slot guys that we've been talking about, they are back, and they should both play, Christian Kirk and Braxton Berrios. And I anticipate Christian Kirk being a big part of things. If you watched what they did in camp, if you've watched CJ being unable to get on the same page with the rookies consistently and Justin Watson, I anticipate Christian Kirk to be a big part of things.
No, absolutely. It feels like he presents an element of the offense that they trust. And I don't know that they always seemingly trusted Jalen Noel and some of these other guys to do some of the things that Kirk does. And he can go out there and win quickly on routes and be a target and be open for CJ. And they can move him around a little bit more than maybe they want to move some of the other guys around. So I'm pretty interested to see how they use Christian Kirk and how important he is. And you brought it up earlier this week. He might be the Joe Mixon, where he's the key to elevating things with this offense, like Mixon was last year when they were unable to run without him. Maybe they are unable to successfully, consistently pass without Christian Kirk. And it's a hell of a bet, a hell of a spot to be in, but you're going to have him, it seems, this week, and he's ready for his season debut.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting, and he admitted, I asked him in the locker room, I asked him, is it a little bit more personal going against Jacksonville? He said, yeah, anytime you get traded, yes, it is. So it's not like it's just another game or any of that type of stuff. It was, yeah, for sure. Like, you get traded, they give up on you. Yes, it is. Like, it didn't say it mad, just said it matter-of-factly, and we all know that to be true. Some people, though, kind of take it the next level and try to be hardos about it, but he straight up said, yeah, for sure.
Not only was he traded, but they were just going to cut him before he ended up getting traded. It was one of those, it was kind of like this Mixon thing where they were going to set to release him, and Texans swooped in. Same thing with Kirk, set to release him, and Texans swooped in there with the late round pick, and now he gets a crack at Jacksonville twice a year, and this is his first one. So yeah, he's ready. He's got to imagine, got to show him what you missed out on. Anytime you got an X, you want to end up better than the X.
This has been kind of how we've talked about it. We've mentioned, that Christian Kirk and CJ Stroud had chemistry, and we've also talked about how I thought they were going to work the slots a lot more. Nick Caley, it's kind of unfair to judge how effective that is when you don't have two of the slots that you brought in. So I do want to see how Nick Caley, when he has two guys that can line up in the slot, what it looks like. The other thing is, from a Braxton Berrios perspective, I wonder what his role is, because now that there's no Watson, I think there's opportunities for him to play a little bit more receiver. And I also don't know. He kind of laughed when I asked him the question because he knew what I was hinting at. I don't know if he gets his punt return job back. Like it looks like Jalen Noel's pretty good. So I asked him, and he kind of smirked because he knew what I was getting at. He kind of read between the lines, but I don't know that he gets it back.
It's a savvy veteran response there from Braxton Berrios as you tried to trap him. The media out to get Braxton Berrios.
I mean, I wasn't trying to trap him. I just figured,
look, Jalen Noel was very impressive in that role. I would have a hard time not putting him back out there, especially if you may see some more wide receiver reps for Braxton Berrios. And you feel like you could put him out there because he's a veteran. You could trust him maybe a little bit more than the younger guys. Okay, if he's going to play a little bit more wide receiver, then let Noel handle all those duties out there at punt return. I have a sneaky suspicion they'll put Berrios back there and we'll be unhappy with it, but I hope I'm wrong.
So you think they're just going to dismiss everything that we've seen from Noel so far?
I mean, would you put it past him?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't want that to be the case. I'm just warning people that potentially can be the case.
Jalen Noel right now is second in the league in punt return, average per punt return right now. That's what Jalen Noel, where Jalen Noel is. So that would be an interesting thing to do, especially given the fact it's not like they trust him at receiver. I think that would be an interesting decision, but who knows? Jake Andrews is another interesting one. So the wide receivers, we don't know what their roles are going to be. We have good ideas. There's context clues. There's assumptions, all that crap. We won't know till Sunday. But Jake Andrews is back practicing. Does he get his starting job back?
I would think so. I would think so. If healthy, I would think they put him right back in there. They liked him more than Jared Patterson at the conclusion of camp. And I would think the only reason he wasn't playing last week is because he physically wasn't ready. So I would think they put him back out there and they get to start that line that they wanted to start, that they practiced with for the better part of a month.
Yeah, the 100% line that they wanted to go with. I don't know. I thought Patterson looked okay. He wasn't awesome, but we'll see what they do.
Thing
will be interesting.
You know what I'd love to see, and they're not going to do this, but you know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see Andrews at center, and I'd love to see Jared Patterson at left guard.
Oh, so just bench Tomlinson?
Yeah, he stinks. He's not getting any better.
Now, that's something nobody's talking about. On the super chat, Logan Taylor says, who is the new tight end they brought in any good? He's just a guy. He's a Jag. They're going to play the Jags on Sunday, and they signed a Jag today and put Christian Watson on IR. He's just a guy. So, I don't have like some fake-ass scouting report on Brendan Strange.
Well, that's not his name.
What's his name?
No.
What's his name?
Brendan Strange is the really good receiver that the Jaguars have. He's good.
What's his name? Brendan.
I love that. You're not going to learn the guy's name. He's going to be on the roster for 3 weeks, and they're going to get rid of him.
What was his name?
You don't need to learn his name.
What was his name?
I don't know his name. Brendan Bates.
Bates. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a 2024 undrafted free agent. He played in about 7 games, about 100 snaps last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. Brendan Jag. Okay. Let's go back to Jag.
Brendan Norman Bates.
Okay.
He's a serial killer out there.
All right. Gustavo on the chat says, good afternoon, gents. Should we be interested in Dexter Lawrence? Seems like he wants out of New York. Look.
How much more do you want to invest on the defense?
That's what I'm saying. My God, like we're complaining about the offensive line, and then we want to bring in $20 million defensive tackles. Like, what are you, D'Amico's like evil twin, Gustavo? My God.
That being said, I approve that idea. You know what? I approve the idea.
Charles Honeycutt says, do you think CJ is missing Joe Mixon as another locker room leader as to why he doesn't have an upbeat mood when things go wrong? Well, Joe Mixon was there last year when he didn't have an upbeat mood. So no, I don't. I think they miss Joe Mixon because he's a good running back. But I don't think that has anything to do with CJ and the mood or anything like that. I think you would like to be able to hand the ball to Joe Mixon, maybe throw the ball to Joe Mixon, maybe push Dara Gumbawale off of the depth chart. But no, I don't. I don't think that's the problem.
No, I mean, Joe Mixon is not some like magic football wizard that just makes everybody better on and off the football field. Like, he's a good running back, and they'd be a better rushing attack if Joe Mixon was the running back versus Chubb and company. But I think we overrate who's a leader in the locker room, who's not a leader. They'd feel a lot better if they just had 2 more victories than they have right now. Like,
well, I mean,
we wouldn't talk about, Joe Mixon's energy in the locker room. Like, he aligns the chakra of the team. Like,
I think it's his energy on the field, like the way that he plays. Like that's what I think it is. I don't know about the locker room. I'm not speaking for the locker room. Like, we go in there for 20 minutes, we handle our business, and we get the hell out. But like, I think the way the intensity in which he plays with has as much to do with anything else. But yeah, CJ would like as many players as possible, but I don't think the absence, if he's dependent on a 30-year-old running back who's in a boot, who got hurt last year, then there's problems. Yeah. There's problems.
And it's not like Nick Chubb is like some softy out there. I mean, obviously the outspokenness is probably very different because Joe Mixon seemed to be the type of guy that would let people know if stuff's not going right last year. But I mean, it's not like you get out there and you're like, man, Nick Chubb doesn't run nearly as hard as Joe Mixon. Like, that's not the vibe I get.
So yesterday I asked a question to D'Amico about the offensive line and how to help them when they're losing their battles. And he kind of focused on me saying if they're not winning their individual battles, which I get because you don't want to coach that. You don't want to openly prepare for that. But I thought today you asked the question and we got kind of the answer that I think had I not put that in the question, we would have gotten. So this is D'Amico Ryans making it very clear that the issues that they have, blocking, protection, it's not just about the 5 men up front.
You expect teams to continue to approach your offense the same way with the amount of pressure that Tampa sent, the constant blitzing? Do you expect teams to just continue to do that until there's a proof that you guys can handle it a little bit better?
I would assume that guys will continue to copycat and do different pressures. And I would say this, the pressure thing, it's all 11, right? It's not – we had a miscue here or there, whether it's the back or it's getting the ball out quicker to our hot answer. So it's all 11 guys when it comes to the pressure. It's not just it's easy for everybody who just watches it and say, oh, it's the O-line. It's all 11 guys working together, operating how we have to operate with a sense of urgency. Of course, that's what everybody does in the league. They see something that was successful, you'll see it again. So you just go back, you correct it. Right, we correct it on the sideline. You correct it again to make sure, hey, we're going to see this again in some form or fashion. Maybe a different look, maybe a different way they bring pressure, but we're going to continue to see those things, of course, until we show that we have answers for it. So we're ready for that. We know we're going to see it. We're ready to roll.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's –
I like how he very casually slipped in. Yeah, back maybe missed a block or something.
Yeah.
All right. Or when the little safety ran him over and sacked the quarterback. That happened. Saw that.
Yeah, that's an Ngumbuwale thing. There is zero doubt about that.
It also goes back, Landry, to the things that Stroud and Nick Caley both said, where there's ways that they operate the offense that can help the offensive line, and we haven't seen as much of that as I'm sure we all thought we were going to see from just getting rid of the ball quick. And D'Amico mentioned it. You get rid of the ball on time and get it out of there. But also, some of the movement of the pocket and things like that. I don't know. The other 6 guys have always done a good job helping the 5 guys. And then the 5 guys, the offensive linemen, haven't always done a good job of handling their individual one-on-one business to the level that they need to so that it doesn't look bad.
Man, I tell you what, if you ever commit a crime, you need to hire D'Amico as your attorney. He will defend the heavy guys.
Your Honor, Mr. Stutes did not steal that semi-truck of Bluebell ice cream.
He will defend the heavy guys, man.
Where would he put all of that ice cream that he stole on that semi-truck? He doesn't have a freezer that big. He's a simple man that lives a simple life and has a regular-sized freezer. The ice cream would go to waste.
Swarm.
Finesse says, did we ever figure out why slime is Patterson's nickname? We did. We asked the question. It's just basically like the slang term, not any hygiene. We asked him last week.
Yeah, we were worried it was a sweat thing, and he very clearly stated it's not a hygiene thing.
T says CJ's attitude stinks straight up. It's woe is me. Lots of QBs in worse situations and don't complain. Hell, Russ threw for nearly 500 yards.
He does like to explain reasons why things aren't working. I don't want to always call him.
He said he's just getting used to like the highs and lows, and I'm like, whoa, really? That's kind of weird to be getting used to that now. Did you see that Barstool kind of retweeted his top 5 quarterbacks from 2 years ago now?
Oh yeah,
where he left off Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not great. Not great.
Yeah, if you type in CJ Stroud on Twitter, it's not quite what it was 2 years ago. I will tell you that. There's a lot of jokes. Gustavo says CJ does not have. Jeez, I did not know this is where we were going. CJ does not have that dog in him. Can't be acting like me a bleep. Like Landry says, the elite QBs don't act like he does. Joe Burrow has never. Yeah, I don't think that the mannerisms that CJ Stroud has displayed are things that you typically see from franchise QBs. I don't think that's a harsh criticism unless you can give me like an example. I would say maybe, and I know that this is recent, but maybe Troy Aikman when Barry Switzer was his coach. But even then, he's getting fiery on the sidelines. But like, you don't really see it very often. So yeah, I agree. SSG says, let me get a damn it, Bobby, for another time. Okay.
Damn it, Bobby.
I don't know why Bobby's just always have to get at Bobby. Let's hear from CJ. Let's check out CJ's mannerisms and how he's looking. So D'Amico said they're close on offense. CJ Stroud agrees. Let's hear what CJ had to say about that.
They were really close. We're like 1 or 2 plays away from, winning tight games against good teams. And it's only 2 weeks in, so, we're still building, still growing, still, getting used to playing one another. So, but yeah, we're very close.
All right, so he says they're very close on offense. I don't know what he's watching. This is what Bobby Slowick said last year, man. Like that. This is exactly what Bobby Slowick said last year, where he said they were close.
Yeah, Bobby was saying it in week 16 after the bye week, and they scored 20 points against the Dolphins, though.
Correct.
Week 3 is a little bit different.
Correct. But Bobby was saying it when it didn't appear that it was. I mean, look, let's see what they look like with Kirk and then figure things out. But I just think they've kind of obsessed these last couple days. And I think Bieniemy was trying to get at this point. They've obsessed that all NFL games are close. As if that, like, if you're close, then you can just always look back and point to one play. But they also play the game and attack things as if they want it to be one possession. Like, they don't go for the kill. Like, at the end of the first half, they're not really going for the kill. Like, the last time I think that we saw Bobby Slowick go for the kill, I think we saw it 2 years ago. And I know Bobby's not the OC. I'm just talking about the Texans in general go for the kill. They went for the kill against Pittsburgh in that FU game. And they went for the kill against Jacksonville when Tank Dell had his coming out party and they ran like the 3rd and 1 bomb. Like, that was going for the kill. They do not often go for the kill. And it seems like they've almost convinced themselves that everyone in the NFL is awesome. Every game is going to be within one possession. And that it seems like they attack it that way when if it's a common thing, it's not something you should strive for. Maybe I'm overanalyzing it, but that's just what it feels like.
Well, they also went for the kill against Cincinnati, and CJ threw an interception in 2023. Remember?
Yeah, but that was so dumb. That was when they were up. That was when they were up 2 possessions. Sure.
I'm looking for evidence that they might have just decided, well, we'll just play close games. They also talk about the offense like, man, this play or that play, and like the dam would have broken open and they'd have just been slinging it all over the damn field, where it's like actually just like 1 or 2 different plays and like you have a few more points on the scoreboard and Tampa's still like kind of within striking distance of the game. Like, it's not like you flip 2 plays and like they just blow the Buccaneers out either. Like, that's another, yeah, you flip this play and like you're slightly ahead of them in the game. So that's also,
it's not, it's also become a justification for coming up short when your expectations are higher. Like, that's the other thing it's almost like mansplaining and like a justification for when your expectations are higher. You should expect more. You have a quarterback that you feel good about that is top 10, whatever, in the league, was top 5, arguably 2 years ago. You have a young core that you were able to build. You've used all your cap space. Like, it's not when the Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills, Rams, whoever are losing games, they're not coming out and saying, and I'm not saying the Texans are this, but they're not coming out and saying, well, it's just, every game in the NFL is close. You know, it's just one of those things here and there. It's a weird mindset, and it's weird justification. And it's even weirder if they need to emphasize this when we already know this. Like we bet on games, and we know that the spreads are usually pretty close. We know a lot of times they're there. Like, is this like it just seems weird. Remember when and I find myself going back to Bill O'Brien. Like, we used to make fun of Bill O'Brien for just, oh, we won the division. That's pretty good, blah, blah, blah. We used to make fun of Bill O'Brien when he would come out and say, it's an 8-8 league. It's an 8-8 league. It's almost like they're doing that. And it's like, let's move past that. Let's move past that and get past, like, you don't have to justify anything. Like, the spread against the Rams actually covered, right? The Rams actually covered. So, like, what you were expected to do against the Rams, you didn't do. Like, based on what the overall experts say. The spread against the Bucs, you didn't cover. So, and I'm not sitting here saying coaches go out there and cover. I'm just saying it's not like you weren't expected to be in those situations. So you did less than what you were expected to do.
Yeah, they never tack on, we play too many close games, we've got to figure out how to make them not close. They always just say, well, we played a bunch of close games. I also thought a comment from Azeez Al-Shire was interesting today, and he'll drop some like accidental wisdom in there when you're not even looking for it. But he's talking about how they go back and watch film, and he said, well, it's not like we watch one play and we're like, oh, if we'd made that play, like, we would have just won the football game. Like, he's like, that's not how
he's a brilliant son of a gun.
That's not how we look at it. We look at it as every single play you have to go back and, what did I not do right on this play? And I have to do it correct next time, regardless of if we're winning the game or losing the game. I've got to be better on this individual play. And it does feel like sometimes they just want to be like, well, if this, then we win. And Azeez is like, well, that's not how we do it in the linebacker room.
Well, and Azeez has made elite game-winning play that just didn't get rewarded against the Rams. Like, it doesn't get much bigger than what he did in that game. Well, except what happened when the Texans got the ball. It's probably about the same. But like, he's done that. He also talked about the swarm mentality, and I thought this was interesting. And shout out to everyone in the chat. We'll get to the soups in a sec. We're on to Jacksonville here on SNL. But Azeez said that the swarm mentality, and I thought this was awesome, because I've heard Sean Pendergast talk about this yesterday on The Collective. If you're not subscribed to The Collective, do so, with myself, Cody, Reggie, and Sean every Monday at 6. But he said the swarm mentality is good. It's a nice mindset, but it's got to be balanced. And if you're being too overly aggressive and you're losing track of fundamentals and not having a sense of what the moment is, then the swarm mentality can backfire. More or less, that's what he said. And I thought that was really insightful and really good. And when you talk about the defense and you talk about how this is supposed to be a good defense, but then Henry To'oTo'o is whiffing on tackles and not wrapping up when it's ideal to wrap up, maybe there needs to be a little bit of a balance or an emphasis on when to swarm and when not to swarm.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of competing mindsets in that building of, hey, we're close, and if this and if that, and the defense, so we're going to be physical and nasty. Well, it's like, well, maybe just be physical enough and nasty enough, because they use some of your aggression against you in the game against the Buccaneers. And if Tampa can figure it out, other teams are going to figure it out too. So you'll see teams try to use that against them again, and if they haven't adjusted, it'll work out in their opponent's favor.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Shout out to SSG. He's swarming. Wags, he's swarming. Afternoon, gents. Hoping for a bounce back this week. Yes. Adrian says, feels like CJ and D'Amico may have some beef lately. Huh.
I've seen this, and I've actually had more than a few people ask me about this, because D'Amico said there was a communication issue with the blocking. And then when CJ was asked about communication, he said, well, none of it was my fault. I want to clarify everything. Like I want to put the proper context on that.
Yeah, I think that was a misunderstanding. I think Kim asked a question and it just kind of got tied up. Not because she like asked the wrong question, but she was asking something completely different than what D'Amico was saying for the whole game. It was communication. And then Kim,
for the blocking and the offensive line.
And Kim asked, was there communication? But then she followed up with, could that be what happened at the goal line? And he said there was no miscommunication at the goal line.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So I've seen some people talk about, oh, well, D'Amico said communication and CJ said, not my fault. And it's like,
yeah,
those two things were about different topics.
That's why you have to go back and listen to press conferences if you're going to react to what's said. Now, initially, when you hear it, when you're moving in game speed, it's like, okay, well, what happened? Because you see the quotes and all that, and you don't know who to trust and all that. And then you put your own context in it. But that was just like just think about a comma in the thing. Now, if the question would have been, D'Amico said there were communication issues throughout the game and CJ disagreed, then it might be something. But the follow-up on the question, the comma in between part 1 and part 2 was at the goal line. And CJ was saying at the goal line, there wasn't any miscommunication.
And I would go as far as to say the way I interpreted it was he was specifically talking about 4th down, not even just the goal line. He was specifically talking about the 1 4th down play.
Malik Unzizoop says, I still remember Watson after 0-3 start saying, y'all can hop off the train reference. Still remember his words and his confidence, shaking my head, Stroud, not him. Look, he's not Deshaun. Damn. Yeah, but he's not Deshaun. Like, if at this point in their careers, CJ's not in the, like, you don't feel as good about CJ Stroud as you do Deshaun. Now, Deshaun kind of fell off for a number of reasons. I think even before the off-field stuff, I think he changed completely. And I said that on the flagship station when it wasn't like the most popular thing. It was blatantly obvious. And then we know what happened with him on the field, off the field, everything, the injuries, but the poor performance along the way. But yeah, how you felt about Deshaun at this point and how you feel about CJ, yeah, it's not really close. So, yeah, does that mean it's going to be the finished product? Hopefully, 3 years from now, we're feeling better about CJ than filled up Deshaun 3 years after that. So
hopefully, there's not a civil case or 40 against him. Yeah. I would also say, like, is CJ ever been the inspire confidence from the podium guy?
Yes.
When?
He has. Yes, he has. He 100% has. 100,000%. At Ohio State, his final game against Georgia, where he grabbed the microphone from Ryan Day, whenever they played the Colts and he had the hurt shoulder and he played behind, I think Austin Deculus was starting, and he came out and said, I'm going to ride and die with these guys. Yes, he has. It's changed, man. Like whole vibe.
Those are 2 very old examples.
It's 2 years ago, Cody.
Well, a lot's happened in 2 years.
But you asked, has he ever? Yes, he has. Who gets paid first, Will or CJ?
Will.
Yeah, probably Will or both. I don't know. HDAV, shout out to you. On to Jacksonville. Yes, we are.
Good to see you, my friend.
The Ham, AJ Birmingham, says Aziz taking accountability, feels genuine. Don't feel the same from CJ recently.
He went up there and said there's a bunch of stuff he wants to work on.
He did. Let's hear what he wants to work on. CJ was asked, what do you want to work on? Here's what he said. If
this feels genuine or not now.
I don't know, everything. I can always be better. I told D'Amico the other day, if anything he sees or anybody sees I can be better in, let me know. I think my process has really been good lately. I see the field well, putting the ball where it's supposed to be, with the coverages and whatnot. And some things it's just I didn't really get a ton of reps with some of the guys we're getting in the game at receiver. So that's a little bit of a challenge. But I think that's one of my biggest things, just being the coach on the field, and taking that step. And it takes time. It's not overnight. So that's an area I think I can grow.
Okay, not the most inspiring, but, I like that he, said things he wants to improve. I don't always agree with his assessment because I don't totally think he's putting the ball where it needs to be. And I don't know that he's seeing the field as well as he thinks he's seeing the field, but.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that he's putting the ball where it needs to be at all. Based on, what we think about him and what we've seen him do in the past. So
he's put the ball in better spots in the past, and he's seen the field in better ways in the past.
Yeah, I would disagree with his assessment of that, but
that was the first of many I didn't get the reps I wanted with these guys comments.
Yeah, which was interesting because he's talking about, some of these guys that I'm working with, I didn't get reps with them. And I'm like, okay, is he talking about Justin Watson? Is he talking about Higgins? He brought up Higgins like this. I almost feel like he just really, really wants to work with Kirk. Cause when he was asked about Kirk, he's like, yeah, it's nice to have a guy that I got all that work with in camp. Let's hear what CJ said. I asked him about Christian Kirk. Here's what he said about him.
What does Christian bring? What do you like about his game?
He's very smart, very savvy, fast, runs great routes, great hands, a leader, somebody who loves ball. So all those things.
And then he brought up the work that they got. So I guess he feels okay about Christian Kirk. The Watson thing, I did think it was interesting how much Justin Watson was playing. And I think
worry about him anymore.
Well, because he got hurt on special teams, probably where he probably should have been most of the time anyways. But that was one of the more surprising things was that, you didn't see Higgins, you didn't see Noel, you didn't see some of these guys. You saw so much Justin Watson, which,
I mean, did CJ give us a little hint why? When he was talking, he got asked about Noel, and he had some nice things to say, but then he kind of sprinkled in like maybe a little bit of why Noel and Higgins weren't getting as much run.
Yeah, let's hear that. Let's hear what he had to say about Noel.
I thought he's done a good job, especially, this past game with special teams and not always getting the ball and the offensive side. He's done a good job of having a good attitude and, getting the plays that, that he gets and doing as best he can. And, him and Hig, they're still learning, still got some things that we're figuring out together just as a whole. So I think, definitely right then again, see Kirk will help those guys, as he's in the room and, on game day they can see him and how he works and the type of route distribution he has. And not to say they're not doing their job, but just, like that veteran feeling that he'll bring to the room. But Jay No is doing a great job and Higgins as well. So they're still growing and learning and they'll be great players.
Still learning, still got things to figure out, and they'll see how it's done when Kirk gets on the field. I know D'Amico said, "Hey, we trust those guys." When it was you that asked him on the Zoom, how do you get the young guys on the field? And he's, "Oh yeah, we know we trust those guys. We trust them." I mean, still learning and still figuring out from when he's talking about the two rookies. Maybe that's the reason you put Justin Watson out there. Maybe that's the reason Xavier Hutchinson's out there, and you're getting a little bit less Higgins and Noel.
I guess. I mean, I just think at this point, with what D'Amico has done and with what we see around, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. The guy who scored his third touchdown against him, how long has he been in the league, and how much have him and Mayfield worked together?
That's 2 games in the NFL for Emeka Egbuka, 3 touchdowns for him. But this leads to my big question here. When CJ's talking about, because I don't get this. When CJ's talking about, well, I didn't rep with those guys as much as I rep. What the hell did you do in training camp? Like I watched training camp practice. Did you need more reps with those guys? Did Davis need less reps? And you take some reps with some of the other guys. Like, how many more reps did he need with Noel and Higgins and I guess to an extent Watson for him to feel comfortable?
I thought they looked pretty good with some of the work that they got. So I really don't know. Hopefully he's right and they can get it going. But I didn't know it was an issue.
Yeah, I mean that's something Nick Haley's going to have to answer. It's like, hey, CJ said he doesn't have, he wish he had more reps with these guys. Is that something you catch up on in the regular season? How does that happen? Or maybe I trust Kirk. I don't trust those other guys yet. And I trust Kirk because he's played a lot of football and I know he's good and I don't know about the other guys. It could be as simple as that.
Or it could be what Kaylee's saying, and it could be the Kaylee mindset about rookies. We really don't know. It's just kind of interesting to see. Let's go back to the soup.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Dyson says CJ looks to have David Carr syndrome.
It's definitely affected him. The taking the hits and the lack of consistent protection. It's definitely affected him.
Let's hear CJ talking about taking beatings and a lot of the mental and physical stuff that goes down with that. Here's what he had to say when he was asked about that.
Yeah, it's not easy, taking hits and, you try to sit in there and have confidence in, up front, and that's what I try to do, and I think I'm a really good pocket passer. So I try to just sit in there, stand strong, and make plays, and thought I've done a good job of, extending plays last couple years. But yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's not easy just to sit in there all the time. There's our big guys hitting you, so it's not always easy.
It's big guys hitting you.
All right.
Problem is, it's been the little guys hitting them, corners and safeties and stuff like that.
One Mortal 2 says a little off topic, but a week ago, y'all talked about nachos for breakfast. Okay. Mexican's culture has a dish called
Chilaquiles,
which fits the bill.
No, I'm very familiar with chilaquiles. I am. I wanted like
You are.
gravy and sausage gravy on like biscuit chips. Don't shake your head like that wouldn't taste great.
What is y'all's expert opinion on CJ struggles? I think we've covered it. It's a weird vibe, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's a really, really weird vibe. I don't know. I don't know how you can say anything else like and maintain credibility. Like if this vibe and most of the people in this Houston football community, from here to SNL, to the Substack, to the locker room, like if you probably follow this on a daily basis and you ride the highs and lows of this team, and I don't know how anyone that follows this can't think that this is just kind of a weird vibe from the quarterback. I don't know. I don't know how anyone can't feel like it's a little bit weird.
I wonder, and this one, like, he felt like it felt like his dauber was down, and he was kind of moping, woe is me, at the back end of last season. But I didn't get that sense early in the season last year. But I could understand it in December and January when things hadn't gone right. But to carry it over into this year and not have it start well, and he said, it doesn't bother me. I don't care. I mean, if he feels like he's doing good, he said he feels like he's seeing the field. He said he feels like he's putting the ball where it needs to be, and they're not winning, and he's not putting up stats. It gets into messing with my money territory for him, doesn't it? Like, isn't that in the back of his mind a little bit?
I don't know how
you got to mess with my money here.
I don't know how he I don't know that he's. I think he knows he's going to be rich no matter what, and he's going to be all right. I don't think he's like Deshaun. I don't think he's driven by material things. I just think he wants to. I think he wants it to be more like year one and more like it was at Ohio State. And I just wonder if to get to that point, you have to maintain the same type of energy that you had when that was going on, which is probably easier said than done when you're there. So I just like, I think that's what he wants. He wants to get back to that, but spoiler alert, the Texans aren't going to dominate like Ohio State. And what we saw the rookie year just seems like a way distant thing of the past. So I just wonder, like, cause it's like if we sit here and we hear often, we actually heard it today, where, man, Joe Mixon's energy, it's just contagious, and you see it out there. And Azeez Al-Shire, what they call him, the emotional catalyst of the football team, and
Emotional regulator.
The emotional regulator. You hear that. What's this that we just watched? Like if you're romanticizing that type of energy and that type of vibe, and then the guy that's going to be the face of your franchise and the most important guy, and I get it, it's not fun. It's easy for me to say.
I think you're getting ready to you're putting him into a dangerous territory here. I think you're getting ready to say.
I'm just saying, like, what's the opposite of that? Because if it's acknowledged by the coach, it's acknowledged by the team that, and you can see it when you talk to Azeez Al-Shire, who we'll hear from in a second. Like, what's the opposite of that? I think it's a fair question. And I think it sucks because the quarterback position in sports, like, I think in basketball, you can be Nikola Jokic or something like that. But I don't know. He's kind of a dog too when he gets out there. I don't know. Like, it just seems like in football, the point I'm trying to make in football, like, you kind of gotta.
What Landry would like to know is CJ Stroud an energy vampire?
Oh, come on, dude.
You're putting EV on him.
Well, he was last year. I mean, when you acknowledge that your body language was bad and the vibes and stuff, he definitely was last year.
Is CJ Stroud an energy vampire at the podium?
SSG on Z Soup.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
He says the all-white Michael Rubin Diddy party changed CJ. Now, Diddy was not there. Let's be serious. That was a replacement for the Diddy party. So let's not put that in the atmosphere. But
that was a replacement or an alternative?
Chase says CJ has two options, an FU tour or a sulking tour. As of now, option 2 looks like his path.
Well, maybe he starts the FU tour in Jacksonville.
Gavin says, Cody, Landry, when is it time to hit the panic button? If they lose to Jacksonville, you can panic.
Yep. Panic bad.
Because the last team, I think, to make the playoffs, and it was a long stretch, was the 18 team that started 0-3 with B.O.B. and Deshaun. But Deshaun went up there and said what he said, and then we kind of looked back to that. Do you think D'Amico will bench CJ? If yes, when? I don't think so.
I don't believe he will bench CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I don't see any chance of that happening. That would be wild. Ziggy says the O-line has been good enough to win these past 2 games. Stroud has been the main reason why the O is in the mud. Accuracy dropped off. He's gun shy, and his escapability is terrible. I just feel like the CJ Stroud of 2 years ago, you're at least 1-1 right now.
I agree.
So I don't dispute what he's saying. I think Ziggy is saying what we've said a couple of times, where you expect what you expect from the offensive line, and then you expect what you expect from your great players.
Let me ask you a loaded question, a weird loaded question. Are they 1-1 if Davis Mills is the quarterback?
God.
I mean, there's a chance that they're still 0-2.
They beat Tampa. They beat Tampa.
Mills hits 1 or 2 more throws, and they're 1-1.
Yeah, and they probably also don't get cute on the goal line. Well, they might not score in the first. Nah, I don't know. They might be 0-2 still. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that Davis is making the Nico throw to start the game.
Yeah, so I won't go that far.
But there's definitely 12, 15 different guys that you'd say, yeah, they're at least 1-1, probably 2-0 with.
It's based on what you think that they're like. What did CJ have to do for them to win? And it's like, it's not like you're asking Davis Mills to be Superman. Like, it's not like we're going back. It's not like we're going back to the Bengals game 2 years ago and saying, do they win that game with Davis Mills? Like you like, what did he need to do? What did they need to do?
If it's just hit a couple more throws, then maybe he's right. Maybe they are close.
Nomad Scott says maybe CJ has a thermometer, not a thermostat.
Maybe he is a thermometer, not a thermostat. So you read the temperature off of him, but he doesn't set the temperature.
That's pretty deep, man.
That's a good way to say that. I would hope that the quarterback's the thermostat, though. Like, he sort of sets the tone, sets the mood.
I mean, if he's going to be like a franchise player, then yeah.
Then he's the thermostat.
Yeah, like you need him to be that.
This is a fancy way of Nomad Scott. It's a fancy way of Nomad Scott saying CJ's not the guy. You're looking for a thermostat, not a thermometer. Thermostat can keep things cool when things warm up. They can heat things up when stuff's cold. You need a thermostat, not a thermometer at quarterback.
What happened to that boy?
Birdie boy. He says, is it too late to check in on how Zach Martin feels? Zach Martin's retired. I bet Zach Martin's fat now.
You think Zach Martin's a fat guy?
Yeah, I think he got fat.
Oh, man. I think Zach Martin's definitely a lose the weight guy.
You think he's a lose the weight guy? I think he's fat.
I think Nick Martin's a get fat guy.
Yeah, I think Zach Martin's a get fat, eat, all that.
I mean, surely you know somebody in Dallas that could find that out for you, because I'd be interested to know the answer. I would also say that it's as recently as a week ago, people would still be like, sign Brandon Sheriff. Also retired, folks. Also retired.
Dime says, did Miko comment
on going
to the half with 2 timeouts? I mean, D'Amico had a hell of a dinner after the game. He had 3 timeouts. He had 3 times. I mean, like he probably took those timeouts into the cafeteria and had them like saute him some stir fry or something like that. He had timeout stir fry. Took him home with him, man. To-go box. I saw D'Amico walking out with like the to-go box that we always see the players walking out with, and I could smell the timeouts. Oh, what you got? Oh, wow, timeouts.
Oh, stir-fried timeout. My favorite.
D'Amico's going to be on Hoarders, that show A&E Hoarders. He's just going to have timeouts all throughout the living room.
You got the Hoarder specialist coming in and like, D'Amico, you can't use these timeouts anymore. He's like, but I have them.
You know the craziest thing? 2 of the timeouts he used, the clock was already stopped.
Yeah, this was just vibes timeouts. Just vibes. A little vibe check timeout.
I heard him
check the defensive vibe here.
I heard him with Vandy and Harris. I was listening to it on the way in, and he was like,
loaded timeouts.
He was like, it's kind of awkward at the end of the game. You know, you don't prepare for you don't prepare to lose, so you don't want to use the timeouts and assume they're going to score. What are you talking about?
Well, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, sir.
But what you were like 2 years ago, you did that against Tampa, like you were saving the time
against that very team.
Yes, like I thought it was. I've heard people say that he has bad clock management throughout. I don't agree with that. Like I don't agree with him on that, but
it's not bad, but it's not good.
Yeah, I don't agree with people on that. Like I don't think it's like a big issue, but I do think that the last game was bad, very poorly done. Mm-hmm. But anyway, let's get a good vibe from Azeez Al-Shire. Azeez is returning to Jacksonville. We all remember what happened last time he was in Jacksonville. Most of us do. Trevor Lawrence might not remember, but
off with his head.
We remember. Here was what, that's a 15-yard penalty right there, buddy. Here was what Azeez said when Cody asked him about returning to Jacksonville.
Do you expect anything extra from either the Jaguars or even Jaguars fans?
I mean, I expect, I've gotten all type of crazy stuff since that day, still get it to this day from people just in general. I don't know if they're fans of football or they just hate me. Either way, that's, between them and God. But, I have no clue. I know, I'm going to go out there and do what I've done my entire career, play as hard as I can. Anybody who got the ball in their hand, that's what I'm trying to hit, and just do my job.
Is there anything that's going to be like in the back of your mind since this is the first time you faced them since that happened? Is it anything you think of at all?
Just try to hit them as hard as I can, do my job like I always do. It's really nothing different. Just I think it's definitely a personal thing in a way, because it's just about the credibility of my name. But I guess that's more just how I attacked the whole season. Because obviously that was a league-wide thing that they tried to make me out to be somebody that I wasn't. So I think for me, I've just kind of been trying to prove a point every single week, of who I am. And I play hard, but I play the game the right way. So that's just what I'm going to keep doing.
What are you going to do if you see him with the ball? Hit him as hard as I can.
Wouldn't expect anything different.
I mean, you gotta send like a little early overload to get Lawrence kind of rolling out of the pocket and just let Azeez spy him a little bit, just to let Lawrence know that he's there. You gotta get it on Sunshine's mind.
By the way, Brian Thomas full go today, practice for the Jags. So the wrist injury.
He wasn't gonna miss this.
Team player says, I feel like D'Amico gets 2-minute jitters. I think he just wants, I just think he's so defensive minded. In this instance, I just think he's, and maybe even in the other, like, I feel like he's just so defensive minded that there's no hurry to score at the end of the first half. And at the end, it was basically like, we're going to stop him. And he dialed up a perfect blitz. Henry To'oTo'o missed. And then as soon as that happened, it was just like, we got to stop him. We got to stop him. We got to keep him out of the end zone. He really didn't think, like, we talk about complimentary football. He really didn't even think about anything except the defense. He acted like a defensive coordinator in the final 2 minutes of the last game. I mean, I think it's very fair to say, and you hear it, you see it. He was just basically, my defense is going to either win this for us or they're going to lose it for it. And if not, we're going to take our ball and go home. There was no thought about it. And even like killing timeouts when the clock is stopped, like you could save those. Like you could save those timeouts and maybe use them a little bit later. He just didn't. I think he just was so defensive minded in that final 2 minutes. And I'm not saying, would I think the Texans would drive down the field and score? No. But
all I need to get to is like the 43 and give Kaimi a 60-yard shot.
Figure something out. I mean, but yeah, it was basically just, and I mean, he called the play. I know they always like to focus on if we make this play. If you're, I'll put it this way, if you're going to do that, then you can go 0-17 and you can 0-17 your way to if we just make this one play.
The inconsistency at halftime is under him is mind-boggling, because there were times even last year when they struggled on offense, they were able to go and get into a field goal range with a few seconds left. I mean, they did it against LA in week 1. They went and got a field goal right before halftime. And then to kind of just be, for lack of a better term, lollygagging there at the end of the first half against Tampa, that was disappointing to see.
Yeah, it was. It was for sure. Got to figure it out. No doubt. Rob says, thanks for putting up with my rants. Hopefully D'Amico will get the message and up-tempo this offense. Heck, just give him more opportunities to develop. Yep. Anyway, that's kind of where we're at.
Yep.
Christian Kirk, will he be the savior? Azeez Al-Shire, is he going to bring the heat? Tomorrow, we got Nick Caley. What is Nick going to have to say for himself?
I can't believe you didn't ask Christian Kirk if he'd heard the Captain Kirk song.
It might be before his time, man. That's like a No Limit. That's like No Limit, old school. That's from Ghetto Dope. So like he's going way back. That's on the same album as like Make Him Say, that's how far back we're going.
No.
There you go. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. Be sure to always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.